Not long after, jajangmyeon, jampong, fried rice and tangsiyuk arrived. The delivery man looked around the cluttered office and said, "It looks like you just moved. We'll give you plenty of service, so please order often." Yes. We sat around the empty desk and ate the jajangmyeon and jampong. It tasted extra good since we hadn't had it in a while. Chinese food is always delicious. Have you found a place to live? I need to find one now. Where have you been staying in the meantime? Sanjiop pointed to a folding bed tucked in a corner. I've been eating and sleeping here for now. How about showering? There's a sauna in the building across the street. As I had noticed back in school, this person seemed accustomed to a homeless mindset. He could thrive anywhere you put him. It's time to hire some staff. A few people were already recommended by the senior. Now that urgent matters are settled, it's time to start interviewing. Here, senior referred to Hyunju, Taekyu's older sister. While we were meeting with foreign startups at a hotel in Yeongjong Island to invest, Sanjiop and Golden Gate staff were busy meeting domestic startups. Busy with work, he hadn't found a home or hired staff yet. With some breathing room now, it was time to start tackling things one by one. Sanjiop suddenly mentioned, "Oh, do you know Jung Jae-hong? Jae-hong Sr.? He's a senior from our department, so of course I know him. I saw him not long ago." Being part of the same department, Sanjiop and Jae-hong were also friendly. Although Jae-hong graduated before Sanjiop, they were a year apart in terms of enrollment. He's currently unemployed. Oh really? After quitting KYB Securities and looking into PF, it seems things are not going well. Well, these days finding a job is not as easy as pie. He contacted me a few days ago. Said he's looking into job opportunities, so I agreed to meet him. Planning to hire at K Company? Senior Sanjiop said jokingly. Let's discuss it first. Would you like to interview? If I sit Senior Gahong down and act as the interviewer, it might be entertaining. How about lining up the seniors who still haven't found jobs and conducting interviews? This is what job creation and a creative economy are about. I raised my hand. Please handle it, Senior. Unlike trustworthy Senior Sanjiop, Senior Gahong is not known for keeping secrets. After just one drink, secrets flow out of him like water from a faucet. If I were to interview, rumors would spread throughout the entire school the next day. Senior Sanjiop nodded in agreement as if understanding. That's right. Anyway, we need to hire new employees quickly. At this rate, I might keel over first. Looking at his face now, it seems rough and tired with sunken eyes. He seems to have lost some weight. Are you getting enough sleep? To my question, Senior Sanjiop let out a deep sigh. Well, I'm sleeping like a log for 3 hours a day. I chuckled. That's decent then. Taekyu remarked. Even my sister, who joined Golden Gate, said that for a few years, her wish was to get a proper night's sleep. The problem lies in the financial sector. What's the use of making money? You might die before you get to spend it. After finishing everything, we placed the empty dishes outside, and Senior Sang-yi boiled water and made instant coffee. We need to hire someone for the accounting department quickly. I'm currently going to the store whenever we need pens or coffee mix. It's always tough to start something new. After finishing our coffee, we began discussing actual work. Hyunju had uploaded a list of companies invested by OTK Company onto the shared cloud. Senior Sang-yi had organized a list of domestic companies invested in by K Company. Regardless of which side they invested in, it would be K Company's responsibility to receive and analyze the financial reports and manage them in the future. I've been curious for a while, what criteria were used to select these companies? There is no common point among these companies in terms of nationality, industry, business type, etc. Some businesses seem like a jackpot right away, while others make you question if they are actually feasible. I picked them by rolling a dice. Senior Sang-yi looked bewildered. Seriously? Just kidding. I just selected companies that I believe have growth potential in the future. Even if only 10% of them succeed, it would be a huge success. That's true. Investing in early-stage startups, if successful, can yield at least 10 times the returns, and it wouldn't be surprising to see returns of over 10,000 times. How much money do we have left? 6.7 billion. With an initial capital of 70 billion, investing over 90% in startups. Still, having 6.7 billion remaining is considerable. About 1 billion of that will need to be used for employee salaries and operating expenses in the future. Slashin. Sunbae equals senior. Sunbae Sanjiop asked casually, is it okay if I invest the remaining money? Do you have something you want to invest in? He nodded as if he had been waiting for my question. I have a few things in mind. Although he may look dull, he possesses a keen instinct when it comes to investments. Judging from his expression, it seems he has already seized a good opportunity. Do as you wish. As long as it doesn't affect the company's operations, I won't say anything even if you lose some money. Sunbae Sanjiop looked pleased. Really? Don't go back on your word later. He must have been itching to do what he wanted. I wonder how he managed to hold back until now. We returned home and relaxed leisurely. Having completed a major investment and almost depleted our funds, there wasn't much to do. A few days later I received a call from Hyunju Nuna. The negotiation with Keros is finally over. How much? $88 million. Now Keros belongs to OTK Company. Well done, Nuna. Nuna equals sister. I silently cheered. You never really know until the contract is sealed. I was worried throughout the negotiations about how it would turn out, but luckily it ended well. Considering they initially asked for $100 million, we ended up with a 12% discount. It seems like Eun-sung was eager to dispose of it quickly. Surely they couldn't imagine that the company they sold for a pittance would change the world in the future, right? A voice came from behind. Is it Jin-hoo? Change me too. A moment later the voice changed. Hey Jin-hoo. Are you doing well? It was Ellie. Yes. How about you, Ellie? It's boring here. Just a bunch of men in suits. I enjoyed working with you, Jin-hoo. I feel the same way. Meeting time is up, Ellie. Oh, I see. I'll contact you next time then. I hung up the phone. Indeed, office workers are busy. Senior Sang-yeep was also busy working on the office interior and hiring new employees. It was so relaxing that we both almost yawned. This time we received a call that the car was delivered. Dealer Kim Deyoon along with the delivery driver came to our house and handed us the key. In the garage, lined up side by side were a gray 7 Series and a blue i8 alongside the Okta Kuka. While the 7 Series was in stock, we had to wait about a month for the i8, but fortunately a cancelled order became available. Although it was not the crystal white we initially chose, the protonic blue color, Taekyu said it didn't matter and we could receive it right away. To me, blue looked much better than white. While it might not be suitable for a sedan, this color fits well for a sports car. Following the dealer's guidance, we inspected the car and signed the documents. Thank you for making a good connection. Please feel free to contact us anytime if you need anything or have any questions. Go ahead and take a look. Observing the parked cars, Taekyu asked, what should we drive? It's difficult for more than 2 people to ride in the i8. I tapped the hood of the 7 Series with my hand. Of course, we're taking this one. When I arrived at my mother's house, the packing was almost finished. There wasn't much luggage to begin with. We're here, Mom. Oh, Taekyu is here too. Mother welcomed us warmly. Perhaps because she was moving back to her original home, she couldn't hide her happy expression. The movers loaded the packed items onto the truck. We had already put up our previous rented house for sale. It didn't matter if we left quickly or waited until the end of the contract to reclaim it. We'll see you at the destination then. The truck carrying the items departed first. We should also get going. Beep. As I pressed the remote key, the lights came on in the 7 Series. Mother was surprised to see the large sedan standing in the parking lot. What kind of car is this? I smiled and said, it's a housewarming gift. I bought it for you to drive. That's exactly why I chose the 7 Series. Our previous family car was a Chevrolet Caprice, a large sedan from Eun-sung. Mom was used to driving big sedans when Dad didn't, so it seemed fitting. When you consider the exterior appearance and safety, nothing compares to a big sedan. You bought this, Jin-hoo? Yes. That house is far from the subway station. You need a car for shopping and going out. But why a luxury car? How much did this cost anyway? I got a discount, so it was cheap. Don't worry, I have plenty of money. Well, technically I borrowed money from OTK Capital to buy it because I didn't have enough. Get in the car. I took the wheel, Taekyu sat in the passenger seat and Mother sat in the back. I started the car. Mother looked around the interior and muttered something like nagging. Why did you buy such an expensive car? You could have just bought a decent used domestic car. If you were going to buy this, you should have talked to me first. I heard foreign cars cost a lot to maintain. Despite her words, she seemed to really like it. Well, BMW is nice though. Quiet and the seats are soft. Taikyu said to mother. I also have a gift for you. What gift now? Hee. Look forward to it. We drove for about an hour and arrived at the fully repaired and furnished house in Dongtan. The Dongtan house, filled with various home appliances including a TV, refrigerator and washing machine, was like last time when we went on a high-end shopping spree at Siongda Digital Plaza. Taikyu footed the bill of millions of won. This is a housewarming gift from me, Mom. Mother looked incredulous. I've lived this long and I still don't understand what's going on. As the staff carried the household goods, Mother wandered around the house touching and feeling the appliances like a happy child. Since we didn't purposely buy furniture, customize it to your taste. After arranging the goods, we had a meal at a nearby family restaurant. How are things going? They're coming along. That's why I wanted to talk to you about future plans. I told Mother about my plans. I'm thinking of traveling with Taikyu for about a year to study a bit. I've finished investing in the startup identified by Oracle Eye, and OTK company's balance has hit rock bottom. For now, I have nothing to do. Originally, I thought about taking some time off and then returning to school. However, my thoughts have changed a bit as I went through various experiences. During this investment, I met young entrepreneurs from various countries. Besides just making big money, they had dreams and clear goals. Also, watching Hyunju Nuna and Ellie work made me realize that the financial sector is not an easy place. The world is much wider than we think. There is much to learn and much to know. I also need to learn more English. You speak English well. Not really. Of course, from their perspective, it may seem that way, but the English I learned for the college entrance exam in TOEIC clearly showed limitations in vocabulary. To do business, I need to learn properly. And you need to learn too. Taikyu was surprised. Why me? You can do it. I can't keep interpreting for you forever. And you need to think when you're alone too. Why is learning good? It'll be easier when playing games. We must learn English, even if we may not have the capacity to learn Chinese or Spanish. Let's see firsthand how the world and finance work over the next year. Can't I just stay home and play games while you travel or study? No. Pack your bags. Ring. I reluctantly opened my eyes at the sound of the ringing bell and grabbed my phone. I answered the phone half asleep. Hello. A woman's voice came through the phone, sending chills down my spine. Jinhoo Sr. I checked the screen to see that it was Shin Yuri. Rubbing my eyes, I asked, Oh Yuri, what's up? Senior, you mentioned you were returning to school this semester, right? Yeah. It's already been 3 years since my leave of absence, so I really plan to return to school this year. Have you applied for re-enrollment? I should start soon. Yuri urgently said, the deadline is today. What? Since when did time fly by like this? Come to the school right away. Meet me in front of the student hall by 4:30. Got it. Hey. Got it. The call ended. Looking at the time, it was 3:20 p.m. It would be quite tight to make it by 4:30. I quickly showered, grabbed some clothes and got ready. Taikyu looked at me scrambling around and asked, Where are you going? I'm going to the school to apply for re-enrollment. The guy seemed puzzled and asked, Didn't you drop out of school? I haven't dropped out yet. When I arrived in front of the student hall, I saw a blonde girl. She had a moderate height, a slender figure and a small face. Her golden hair was tied up in a bun, and she wore a black choker around her exposed neck. Even though it's been a while since I last saw her, she still looked as beautiful as ever. Hurry up, senior. I got it. With Yuri, I entered the student hall. Thanks to our rush, we were able to submit the application form without any issues. Yuri scolded me, saying, What would you have done if I hadn't called you? You know you need me to take care of you. Submitting the application is not the end. The most important step of paying the tuition fee is still ahead. I checked the tuition bill and was surprised. 340,000 won? I briefly questioned if I had seen it wrong. Before I went to the military, it was around 200,000 won, right? When did it increase so much? I heard that the tuition fees had gone up, but I didn't know it had increased this much. If a public university is charging this much, what about private universities? This amount is a significant burden for middle-class families, as it almost reaches 7 million won a year. I too used to worry about tuition fees until I was discharged 2 years ago. It doesn't really matter now. Did you apply today too? I asked. Yuri said, shaking her head. I took a 1-year leave from the beginning, so I don't need to apply separately. Did you come to school just because of me? As I was about to thank her, a thought crossed my mind. Can't we do this online? In this day and age, do we really need to come to school to submit a re-enrollment form? Just enter the school website, enter your student ID and click a few times. Yuri looked taken aback at my words. But soon she chuckled and said, what's the big deal? It's important that we successfully complete the re-enrollment process, right? That's true. Anyway, if she hadn't called me today, my leave of absence would have been extended forcibly. You haven't eaten, have you? Let's go get some food, senior. I'll treat you today. Pointing to the central library building, I asked, campus cafeteria? To which Yuri looked serious. What are you talking about? If you're going to eat, you should eat properly. How about some beef? Huh. What does a student on leave have money for? Yuri playfully laughed at my expression. I'm kidding. Since I'm paying, let's go eat something really delicious. Shall we take a taxi? I came by car. I hurried out and came by car. I took out my car key and pressed the button. Beep. The light came on from the blue sports car parked there. Yuri widened her eyes in surprise. It's an i8. Senior, did you buy this car? I shook my head. No, it's not my car, it belongs to a friend I live with. The car alone costs almost 200 million won. It's not a car that an ordinary college student would drive. But you still drive it, senior? I heard even close friends don't easily lend their cars. It's okay. He rarely goes out of the house anyway. I drove the car towards Dosan Park as instructed. Meanwhile, Yuri made a reservation over the phone. We arrived at a sushi restaurant. Looking at the menu board outside, the price for the dinner omakase was 180,000 won per person. This person sure goes out to eat fancy dishes. We sat side by side at a table and ordered the omakase. Start with a beer, please. I have to drive. We can call a designated driver. Should we? As it was starting to get closer to dinner time, not long after we entered, the place began to fill up quickly. Soon not only our table but even the private rooms were packed. If you didn't make a reservation in advance, you wouldn't have been able to come at all. We clinked our beer glasses. The cold beer went down my throat smoothly. When the new semester starts, we'll be in the same second year. Yuri took a leave of absence last year and went to the US for language study. Since both of them didn't spend much time in Korea, they hardly had the chance to meet. And Jinhoo and Taekyu spent last year traveling around the world. So Jinhoo was also not in Korea. But Yuri would occasionally contact me if there was something worth remembering. At first I thought she might have a crush on me, but that didn't seem to be the case. It felt more like a human interest rather than a romantic interest. However, it's not like there is no romantic interest at all. Anyway, we're still maintaining a good senior-junior relationship. Is it okay to come to such an expensive place? Of course. Thanks to you, I've made a lot of money. Oh. What money? Yuri said with a mischievous smile. Didn't Samsung Electronics rise a lot? Oh. After the S6 discontinuation incident, there were talks of withdrawal from the smartphone market. However, Samsung Electronics worked to enhance safety to regain consumer trust and released the premium model S7 as planned 1 year later. The S7 gained immense popularity and washed away the nightmare of the previous year. The company also expanded into the semiconductor and home appliance sectors, and its stock price rose to over 1.9 million won, surpassing its previous high. There was a prevailing sentiment in the securities market that it would soon exceed 2 million won. You said you had 20 shares? To my question, Yuri smiled and shook her head. No. You sold them during that time? No. In fact, I bought 30 more shares separately afterward. So now I have a total of 50 shares. This is almost 100 million won. Well, considering the house I live in is worth over 2 billion won, is investing 100 million won a big deal? I should follow the advice of seniors when it comes to investing in the future. I chuckled. I'm not any kind of expert. No, in my opinion, seniors seem to have a sharp sense when it comes to investments. If you work in that field after graduation, you'll do well. She seemed to have a keen sense to notice that. The chef kindly explained each piece as he served us sushi, saying, "Here is akami, here is otoro." We sipped beer and savored the sushi. "This tastes good, right?" "It sure does." After tasting it, I could understand why people are willing to pay a lot of money to come to a place like this. Whether it's cheap or expensive is a relative concept. If the taste and service seem decent compared to what you've paid, it's enough even if it costs 200,000 won. On the other hand, if you eat something for 5,000 won and find it disappointing, it's a waste. Are you going to the senior OT event? No. It would be awkward to go there as a returnee student. Somehow if it were Kyunjil, he would definitely attend. Then what about the freshman welcome party? I don't think I can make it to that either. Why not? I have plans to go to Hong Kong around that time. Hong Kong? What's the occasion? Just going to hang out with a friend, that's all. My friend's older sister works there. Oh, I heard about that before. As we chatted, my glass was empty. I ordered 2 more beers. Sounds nice. I also want to go to Hong Kong. You had a good time in the US, didn't you? Upon hearing that, Yuri got annoyed. What are you talking about? I just focused on my studies. Got it. I believe you. Ha. Yuri pursed her lips and said, "So what were you up to for a year, senior?" I chuckled while sipping my beer. "Oh, you know, this and that. Hong Kong Czech Lap Koch International Airport. I disembarked the plane with Taekyu. Hyunju and Ellie were there to greet us at the immigration area. Hyunju wore a high-waisted skirt with a blouse, while Ellie was in a women's suit. Perhaps it was her short haircut that gave off a sophisticated vibe. Ellie waved at us as she saw us approaching. "Welcome to Hong Kong," Hyunju said. "Thanks for coming. It's no trouble. First class is pretty comfortable." Taekyu nodded in agreement. Going from home to the airport was more of a hassle. I first learned that you could lie down on an airplane. They even provided pajamas inside. It's not like a long-distance route to the US or Europe. Coming to Hong Kong, which is just a few hours away, in first class is excessive wastefulness. Taking just the business class would have been enough, but we didn't pay for the first class because we wanted to save money. Ellie came forward and held out her hand to me. "Long time no see, Jinho. How have you been all this time?" I took her hand. "I've been good. And you, Ellie?" It had been almost 3 months since we last met. We had met once altogether when we stopped by Hong Kong for a day on the way back from Australia. Ellie jokingly said, "I'm thinking of fleeing to Korea because I'm so busy." Hyunju Nuna asked, "Is your mother doing well?" "Yes, she's fine. Taekyu and I went down a few days ago." We headed to the parking lot while asking about each other's well-being. Beep. When Ellie pressed the remote control, the lights came on in a huge luxury sedan. It was an S-Class Maybach. "What car is this?" "It's a company car. They offered to pick you up comfortably." We loaded our luggage into the trunk and sat in the back seat. There was enough space to stretch our legs. Hyunju Nuna sat in the front passenger seat while Ellie took the wheel. Due to British influence, the driver's seat and the direction of the road were opposite to Korea. The car, once out of the airport, sped on the highway towards the city center. There seems to be construction, so we may need to turn back. On both sides of the road, dozens of high-rise buildings towered densely. Numerous signs extending towards the road like branches of a tree made a striking sight. As I had felt before, Hong Kong presented a peculiar landscape with newly completed buildings mixing with old ones that seemed on the verge of collapse. Crossing the sea to Hong Kong Island, a different scene unfolded. Glass-adorned high-rise buildings lined the view, reminiscent of Tehran Road in Seoul. This was none other than Central, the heart of Hong Kong and the financial hub of Asia. The car stopped at the entrance of a giant building around 60 floors high. As we stepped out, a staff member at the entrance received the keys from Ellie for parking. Above the huge revolving door, the words Golden Gate Building could be seen. Taekyu exclaimed, "So this is where my sister works. Let's go in." We followed Hyunju inside the building. Ellie spoke to the receptionist at the front desk, who then guided us to an elevator inside. The elevator swiftly ascended to the top floor, the 58th floor. In the reception hall overlooking Victoria Harbor, stood a tall, white-haired Caucasian man. As we entered, he greeted us in awkward Korean saying, "Welcome. Welcome to Golden Gate." He was Chase Southwell, the office director in charge of Golden Gate's Asia branch. Before the start of classes, I was thinking of coming to Hong Kong to meet Hyunju and Ellie once. However, the regional manager of Golden Gate Asia wanted to meet us. He doesn't know much about us, but he knows that OTK Company is a client of Hyunju's, since she has processed everything through her from opening accounts to subsequent matters. So, he hinted at wanting to meet through Hyunju and I gladly agreed because I also wanted to meet him. The old man welcomed us warmly. Nice to meet you. I am Chase Southwell. We also greeted politely. Nice to meet you. I am Kong Jin-Hu. Hello. I am Oh Taek-yu. We took our seats at a table where dozens could sit, and a male staff member who appeared to be a secretary brought us coffee and tea. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Did you have any trouble coming here? Thanks to you, sir, we came comfortably. The old man said cheerfully, it's better to call me by my name rather than my title. Hyunju and Ellie sitting opposite us seemed tense. It seems uncomfortable to be with a CEO whether it's a Korean or a foreign company. No matter how much she is Hyunju, how often does she meet separately with a CEO? Thinking like that, I also feel unnecessarily tense. Wow. The view here is fantastic. You can see all of Hong Kong at a glance. You work in a great place, Sister Hyunju. It's not like he's a baby who came to visit his mom at work. When Hyunju frowned at him to be quiet, Taekyu quickly shut up. Seeing their reactions, Chase chuckled. Since this is not a formal meeting, you can relax. Taekyu spoke kindly in English. Is that so? My older sister is too feisty. Hyunju, with a more impressive demeanor than before, remained silent in front of the director. Confident Taekyu made a joke and Chase chuckled along. Do you know I always get scolded by that sister of mine? Haha, I also get scolded by my wife when I get home. At this moment they appeared as amiable as foreign grandfathers. However, appearances can be deceiving. Golden Gate has 5 heads including the major shareholder and CEO, James C. Goldman. One of them is Chase Southwell, responsible for the Asia branch. He is a legendary figure in the Asian finance industry. Though not widely known to the public, anyone with a slight interest in current affairs would be familiar with his name. Chase arrived in Hong Kong in the late 1980s during Asia's growth. Despite suffering losses during the Asian financial crisis, he argued for increased investment in Asia. CEO James empathized with Chase's viewpoint and fully supported him. This allowed Chase to purchase distressed bonds and stocks, leading to substantial profits as Asian countries overcame the crisis. Golden Gate's success in the Asian market can be credited largely to him. His influence in Korea is significant, handling all of Golden Gate's investments there. Though his personal wealth may be less than ours, his impact on the global economy is unmatched. With a single word, he can move billions of dollars. If he were to reduce investments in Korea or make negative remarks about the country, the Korean stock market would be greatly affected. So, why would such a prominent figure want to meet us? The reason is simple. It's because we have also become somewhat of a giant. If a year is short, it's short, and if it's long, it's long. We have traveled to various cities around the world, seeing and learning many things. I have constantly been learning about the world and finance. My English has also improved so much that now even Ellie compliments me on my good pronunciation and expression. Fortunately, Taekyu has also managed to speak English decently. Koreans receive education in English from elementary school to high school for 12 years. Thanks to that, essential words and basic vocabulary are already stored in our minds. We just don't know how to retrieve and use them. Thanks to this, after setting a goal for about a year, I have reached a level where I can have conversations quite comfortably. As we have been traveling and studying, the global economy has been changing rapidly. The term Fourth Industrial Revolution, which was once used by a few, is now known by everyone. Most experts predict that the changes that will occur in the next 10 years will be greater than those of the past 100 years. Governments and businesses have set out to find future opportunities to survive in the ever-changing industrial environment. The startups we invested in have grown explosively. Startups thrive on dreams. They don't need to make profits right away. They just need to show that they have the potential to succeed in the future. But it's difficult to demonstrate that. Among the companies we invested in, not a single one is currently making a profit. Instead, they are incurring huge losses every year. However, the atmosphere towards them has changed drastically. Until then, investors who didn't even bother to look at companies pleading for investments suddenly started coming to ask for investments themselves. For companies to continue growing, continuous investments are necessary. And to do that, they need to generate revenue, take out loans, or raise capital from external sources. Initial investments in startups usually involve founders selling their stakes. However, subsequent investments involve a slightly more complex process. Previously, it was a matter between the founder and the investor, but after that, it becomes a matter among the founder, initial investor, and new investor. Additional investments are typically made through issuing new shares. A company issuing a certain percentage of stocks, shares, and investing money by having new investors purchase them. Naturally, the ownership percentage of existing investors is diluted accordingly. If this process is repeated several times, it is possible for the ownership stake of 50% to be reduced to 10% or less. To prevent such a situation, we entered clauses in our investment contracts that do not interfere with management at the time of agreement but include restrictions on new share issuance and holding preemptive rights. Issuing new shares at a low value was to prevent dilution of ownership stake. If you were to pick the fastest-growing startup among dozens, surprisingly or perhaps unsurprisingly, it would be Face IT. Face IT used the investment funds we provided to build servers and establish partnerships with production companies. The number of users exploded, leading to more refined recommendation algorithms as data accumulated. To find the porn you want without scouring the internet, all you have to do is enter your favorite actors and preferences on Face IT. In just 1 year, Face IT quickly penetrated the global porn market. When searching for porn on search engines like Google, Face IT's site is prominently displayed. A well-known American content company, noticing Face IT's explosive growth, proposed an acquisition with an offer of a whopping $400 million. Face IT declined the offer. Instead, a few months later, they raised funds by issuing 10% of new shares and secured a $95 million investment from a private equity fund. The fund valued Face IT at $950 million, leading to the transaction. Our ownership stake decreased from 48% to 43.2%, but the value of that stake grew. Similar situations played out in dozens of other startups, some seeking investment while others sought acquisition. Investors might have been bewildered. When considering investing in promising startups, it turned out that substantial portions of ownership were already secured by unknown entities. Thanks to this, the name OTK Company became widely recognized, surpassing investment banks, hedge funds, private equity firms, sovereign wealth funds, and large corporations. The combined value of the companies we invested in is roughly evaluated at around $10 billion. $600 billion becoming a whopping $11 trillion. Of course, since valuing private companies is not straightforward, these are all estimations. Chase looked at us and said, "I was surprised to hear that the two giants driving OTK Company were Jessica's younger brother and his friend." I smiled modestly. "You flatter me." He continued, "A couple of years ago when you made $600 million from options trading in the Korean market, it was surprising, but I didn't pay much attention. It was a highly risky investment strategy and I considered it a stroke of luck for anyone. However, seeing the progress of OTK Company since then made me rethink." He preferred a long position investment strategy of buying low and holding long-term over a short position. He seemed to highly appreciate our quick purchase of undervalued startup stakes. Typically, investing in startups is considered a jackpot if 1 or 2 out of 10 succeed. However, we succeeded with 9 out of 10. The one remaining had yet to show promise, not a failure. I really wanted to meet these individuals with such outstanding insights at least once. Just because Warren Buffett has been consistently profitable for 50 years and George Soros had legendary wins in the forex market, no one considers them to have superpowers. They are just thought to have a superior perspective on the market. Thus, Chase was purely amazed by my talent. With all the praise, I started feeling a bit guilty. I feel the same way. If I said I've met Golden Gate's Chase Southwell in person, everyone would be envious. Opportunities to meet legendary investors in Asia are not common. Senior Sanjiop pleaded to bring him along before I came here, but unfortunately he was too busy with work. The head of the department at the university I attend is a passionate fan. Both the undergraduates and the club members are. Chase was pleased with my words. "Really? Then we should hold a signing event at Jinhu's school." I nodded earnestly, I will organize it once. Thanks to you, I have an excuse to take a vacation and visit Korea. We talked for 2 hours. As time passed, our conversation drifted away from finance topics to just casual chit-chat. Taekyu talked about which recent movies were funny and which games were trending, while Chase bragged about how cute and lovely his son's family who work as professors and his twin granddaughters were. Unlike us who were relaxed, Chase had a busy schedule. Chase stood up with a disappointed look on his face. I am very optimistic about the future prospects. Golden Gate hopes to continue working with OTK Company. We feel the same way. We are fortunate to have Jessica connecting Golden Gate and OTK Company. She is a valuable asset to both sides. Upon the chairman's praise, Hyunju awkwardly cleared her throat and Taekyu saying, she is indeed a precious sister. Anyway. Received a cold stare. It seems they don't expect a follow-up meeting after this one. Perhaps there will be good news for each other by the end of this year. What kind of news? With my question, he chuckled generously and said, it's not confirmed yet, but you can expect good news. We all came out of the Golden Gate building together. Ellie stretched languidly, saying, ah, it feels good to be out. As she did so, it seemed a particular area was emphasized, making eye contact somewhat uncomfortable. Even in a suit, it's hard to hide that volume. Ellie looked at us and said, thank you. Thanks to you, we even got a free holiday. The director of the Golden Gate Asia branch assigned employees to ensure our comfort during our stay in Hong Kong. Those employees were none other than Hyunju and Ellie. Officially it was called an off-site assignment, but in reality, it was like a vacation. Unlike Ellie, who seemed happy, Hyunju didn't look pleased. Ugh, so much work and now an off-site assignment. Why, sister? It's a good chance to take a break this time, Taekju said. Taking out a cigarette, Hyunju replied, work doesn't disappear just because you avoid it. It only piles up. If you go back, there will be stacks of documents on your desk. Golden Gate mentioned a standard 100 hours of work per week, right? Working almost 14 hours a day. The problem is that's the minimum requirement. There was a time when getting into Golden Gate was my dream, but now even if they offered me a parachute entry, I wouldn't want it. Having these thoughts, I realized I've truly had my fill. At the main entrance, our S-Class Maybach was waiting for us. Accepting the keys from the staff, Ellie said, so where should we go first? As if he had been waiting, Taekju said, if we're in Hong Kong, it's gotta be Disneyland. Hyunju cut in sharply, no. We went last time, remember? It'll be fun to go again. You're the only one who would find it fun. I offered a different opinion, let's go to Victoria Peak. It'll be evening soon, so we can have dinner while enjoying the night view. That sounds good. Driving, Ellie made a reservation at a restaurant. Just like last time, Victoria Peak was bustling with locals and tourists. We parked below and took the Peak tram up with other tourists. Once inside the restaurant, we found a table by the window with a great view. Ellie fluently ordered seafood and wine. Hyunju asked me, you're going back to school this year, right? Yes. I don't have much to do for now, so I should keep studying. Hyunju's sister chuckled at my words. You might learn something there. It'll be fun nonetheless. I enjoyed my school days too. Taejae nodded. Yeah, good times. Starting from freshman year, she used to come home drunk and with cigarettes every day until dawn. One time Mom almost called the police, thinking she was a dead body collapsed in the shoe rack. Shut it. Okay. I asked Ellie, how was college life for you? She shook her head and began to speak. I have no memories other than studying. I didn't have many friends because I went to study abroad alone. Ellie attended an international school in Hong Kong and her mother graduated from university in the UK. As the sun completely set, the night view of Hong Kong unfolded. The buildings along the coast were illuminated by various vibrant colors. So, how was it meeting the legendary Asian investor in person? Asked Hyunju Uni. I honestly replied to Hyunju's question, it was impressive. Just by meeting and talking with him, I could catch a glimpse of his confidence and philosophy on investing. I might understand why people are willing to spend a lot of money to have lunch with Warren Buffett. If I were to say that I met Chase Southwell in person and shook hands and talked with him, no one would believe me, right? I recalled the words he had heard earlier. But what good news do you have? Have you heard any interesting stories? Hyunju Uni tilted her head. I can't think of anything in particular, she replied. Aren't you two getting a raise, Hyunju Uni and Ellie? I joked. Oops. That could be possible, Ellie chimed in. If the salary increases, the workload will also increase. Humph. Ellie pouted. We talked about our recent activities over the meal. Hyunju Uni mainly talked about the current situation of the companies we invested in. Ellie asked various questions about university life in Korea, and Taekyu was still babbling about random things. Seeing him grinding his teeth each time he spoke, I feel like in about 30 minutes he might snap at Hyunju Uni. I mostly listened. It's easier to remain quiet sometimes. Ellie rested her chin on her hand, swirling her wine glass with the other hand. Her cheeks were flushed, perhaps from the alcohol. That appearance is oddly cute. I also want to go to college with Jinhoo. Really? Are you drunk or something? When I glanced at Hyunju Nuna, she nodded as if agreeing. What about Golden Gate? Just stop and apply to a Korean university. I also want to major in business administration. Wanting to get into Golden Gate but studying business administration instead of pursuing Golden Gate seems a bit strange, doesn't it? Ellie said something as if she had a thought. Oh. If you re-enroll, you'll take classes with that junior Yuri, right? Gasp. How do you still remember that name? As I was flustered, Taekyu remarked. That's right. They're both sophomores. They even registered for classes together not long ago. No, that's because I didn't know well and asked for help. Ellie chuckled and said, Oh. Can I hear more about that? I spoke while looking out the window. The night view of Hong Kong is always beautiful. Don't change the subject. Okay. After a 3-day trip to Hong Kong, we returned to Korea. While lying on the couch, I received a message from Yuri. Ding. Senior, have you arrived in Korea? I replied, I just got back. When are you coming to school? I'll go tomorrow. I thought about going today too, but decided not to because I felt lazy, and it's the add/drop period anyway. As I closed my eyes and lay down, suddenly I heard a scream from beside me. Oh no. No. Why, what's wrong? Taekyu urgently said to me. Hey, something terrible just happened. What is it? Did Yoonjun suddenly decide to raise interest rates by 100 basis points? It's something incomparable to that. What on earth is it? With the shift of the gaming market towards online and mobile platforms, companies producing console games faced difficulties. Struggling with financial problems, Pentagon decided to merge with a company in the same industry, Linux, creating a giant company named Linux Pentagon. Despite the merger, the situation did not improve significantly. While the status of console games decreased, in the recently entered online gaming market, they were overshadowed by companies like Ice Storm from the US and LC Soft from Korea. Eventually, they ambitiously entered the mobile game market but faced major losses consecutively, recording the largest quarterly deficit in their history. If they fail once more, the management will have no choice but to step down. Unlike mobile games with many light users, the console game market has a thick layer of enthusiasts. The management judged that if they created a suitable console game with numerous enthusiasts like the Pentagon, they could make enough profit. Therefore, the management decided to stop the development of Lost Fantasy M and disband the team to focus on console game development. As a result, Ichikawa Shigeru, who had been developing Lost Fantasy from the early stages, fiercely opposed the decision and threatened to leave the company. This is totally a blow to Shigeru. Pentagon and Linux merged equally. Since it was not an acquisition by either side, the issue was who would take over the management. Ichikawa Shigeru, the manager of the Pentagon, willingly handed over control to Linux. He wanted to step away from management and create the games he desired, as he originally came from a development background. But now even that seemed impossible. Taekyu spoke in frustration. Shigeru just stopped development for a mere 1 billion yen. Does that make any sense? Do you know that 1 billion yen is equivalent to 10 billion won? So what? Just for 10 billion won. Is 10 billion some kind of joke to you? I asked confused. If it's not released, can't you just work on another game? In response, Taekyu clenched his fist and shouted, Lost Fantasy is different from other games. What makes it different? It's about dreams, adventure, and hope. At this point, I really couldn't understand what was being said. Check out the Luluweb Lost Fantasy bulletin board here. We are currently collecting signatures to send a protest email as a group to the Linux Pentagon. Here, a gamer named EDM is even planning to go protest alone in front of the headquarters the day after tomorrow. They've already purchased a ticket to Japan. In fact, photos were uploaded showing the airplane ticket and the protest picket written in Japanese. It seems like they don't have much to do. Are they unemployed? Taikyu asked while glancing at me. Don't you see something in front of you by now? What do you see? Something like Lost Fantasy M mega hit. No, not at all. Even if Jinhu could see it, not everything correct is visible. If that were the case, holograms would be popping up by the millions every day. Taikyu seemed determined as he said, it won't work. Let's just invest ourselves. Huh. We should provide development funding to Shigeru Ichikawa for the global Lost Fantasy users. It will only cost less than 10 billion won after all. I thought, what will I do with the money I earn? I should spend it on my hobbies. Although it was what he really wanted, I felt sorry for discouraging him. With about 10 billion won, there would still be some leeway. Just wait a moment. I dialed the CEO of K Company. But, is it a good time to talk now? Of course, go ahead. I got straight to the point. There is a game company in Japan called Linux Pentagon, where a developer named Ichikawa Shigeru works. Please contact him and convey that OTK Company, not Otekjiu, is willing to invest 1 billion yen in development. After an absence of 3 years, I returned to school. I parked near the central library and walked up. Everything felt unfamiliar. I had noticed the changes when I came with Ellie last time, but it had really changed a lot. I even got lost for a moment because I couldn't find the business school building. I had forgotten how to register for classes, so I had to ask Yuri for help. Since we were both second-year students, we had to take the major courses together, and for the general education courses, I decided to just listen to what Yuri chose for me. As I was heading towards the business school building, I saw familiar faces. Min-young and Kyunjil waved at me. Hey Kong Jin-ho. You came. Min-young had gone on a language study trip to the Philippines last year, and Kyunjil had taken a leave of absence before that, so they were both fourth-year students now. Due to reasons like graduation, studying abroad, and military service, there weren't many classmates left. So I was fortunate to have these two. What did you do for a year instead of returning to school? We didn't keep in touch much, Min-young asked. I just traveled here and there. Kyunjil quickly asked me, have you met the beauty you came with back then? Ellie? She went back to Hong Kong a while ago. So, a few days ago I went to Hong Kong and met her there. Min-young seemed to remember something. Oh. Do you know there's the son of the MCK food chairman among this year's freshmen? Master Chicken? South Korea is the chicken republic. More chicken restaurants are concentrated on this tiny land than all McDonald's outlets worldwide combined. Among them, Master Chicken is a large chicken franchise with over 1,800 stores. They have a 30-story headquarters in Sinsadong, and the company is listed on the Kosdaq with a market cap of approximately 120 billion won. Selling chicken to this extent. How much chicken do people in our country eat? At one point, Taikyu also used to order it frequently. I heard he came in as a third year, but it seems like there's a problem with him. What kind of problem? Kyunjil said. During orientation, I saw them making the newcomers play games and forcing girls to drink until they vomited. It was chaotic. They acted all superior even towards their seniors. What did the seniors say? Well, that's the thing. Suddenly, a group of students approached and greeted with enthusiasm, "Hello, seniors." They were unfamiliar faces, all looking young and inexperienced. Oh, these are the new freshmen this year. You know Min-young, and this is my junior Kong Jin-ho. He came back to school this semester. Kyunjil introduced each of the freshmen to me one by one. Having taken a long break and missed orientation events and freshman welcome parties, I couldn't easily discern who was our department juniors. Proudly, Kyunjil said, that's why everyone should attend orientation like I did. A fourth year like you going there. Many seniors from higher grades also came. Reflecting, I remembered how during my freshman orientation, groups of graduated seniors came with alcohol. It was amusing to see middle-aged men and women at such a young age. Please get me coffee, senior. I'll have a caramel macchiato. It's a newcomer's privilege to ask seniors to buy things. Min-young asked. Do you want to come too? No. I have a meeting with the department head. Min-young and Kyungil took their juniors to the campus cafe, while I headed to the department head's office. Department Head of the Business Administration Department, Kim Young-jun. Despite his relatively young age, his teaching style was engaging and he took good care of his students. Therefore, he was highly respected among the business administration students. Professor Kim greeted me. It's been 3 years. I'm glad you safely returned to school. Yes. He probably knows about me taking a leave of absence due to family issues. However, he might not be aware of what happened afterward. You made the right choice. Nevertheless, it's better to graduate from school. Even after graduation, isn't it tough to find a job? He chuckled at my remark. Indeed, the job market is tough now. However, by the time you graduate, the economy might improve. So, don't worry and just focus on your studies. Understood. If you encounter any difficulties, feel free to talk to me. Even if I can't offer much help, I can at least buy you a drink. Thank you. As I was about to leave the office, I hesitated. What's the matter? I want to give you a gift. In response, Professor Kim extended his hand. Don't. Due to the Kim Young-ran law, we're not supposed to receive even a drink from students. I'll appreciate the gesture, so just take it with you. It's just a piece of paper. I pulled out a piece of paper from my bag and handed it over. It had a crumpled signature with, to Professor Kim Young-jun written on it. What's this? It's Chase Southwell's signature. You know how much Professor likes him. Huh. Done with my task, I closed the door and stepped out. A while later, I heard a shout from behind. Hey. Where did you get this? But I pretended not to hear. I could say that my friend's sister got it. She works at Golden Gate. As I entered my second year, my major subjects increased. Accounting, management science, corporate law, marketing cases, business communication, and more. After the corporate law lecture ended, Yuri packed her books and asked me, "How was it, senior?" Manageable. Even though I had been active in the field until recently, now that I was attending lectures, I didn't understand a thing. Is theory different from practice, or is my mind just too stiff? Regretting making a big fuss about securing straight A's when I went back to school. Since getting good grades won't guarantee a job, I should just aim to graduate. As long as I attend classes and do assignments properly, I shouldn't fail. Will you come to the opening party after class? I don't know. Please come, senior. To continue going to school, you need to get to know your juniors at such events. You barely know the classmates you're studying with now. That's true. Most of my classmates are in their 3rd or 4th year, so I rarely see them in class. To comfortably go through school, I should at least get familiar with their faces. All right, let's go together. Yuri smiled brightly at my words. It's a promise. After the morning lecture ended, I waited in front of the central library with my classmates to have a late lunch. Female students were gathered in one corner of the parking lot. Wow. Look at this car. What is it? It's an i8. This is my first time seeing it in person. This car is so pretty. Who would drive such a car? Surprisingly, it was Taikyu driving it. Although I rode in it today, I haven't been in Korea much until now, so it was okay, but now that I'm going to school, I also need a car. I've been looking into what kind of car to buy. The girls enjoyed looking at the cars and even took selfies in front of them. There's a contact number here. Should we try contacting them? They might be students at our school, right? Don't. That's Taikyu's contact number. They're not students at our school. Shortly after, Min Young arrived first. Where's Kai and Jill? He'll be here soon. Oh, that's an i8 over there. Who drove it here? Both Taikyu and the i8 stand out. Should I get a less conspicuous car? They say there are many pretty new students this year. Kai and Jill is rushing to get a girlfriend early in the semester. Are you not interested? I shook my head. Never mind. After paying expensive tuition, you should focus on studying. What's the point of dating at the height of intellect? True. What about you? I'm not interested either. I'm too busy worrying about getting a job. As Sienna and I broke up, Min Young also had an experience of dating a senior in the department and breaking up. Because of that, campus relationships feel like a hassle. As I continued to wait for Jill, I saw Yuri walking towards us from afar. I could recognize her at a glance, maybe because of her blonde hair. Min Young looked at Yuri and said, "We still have the top 2 girls in our department, Sienna and Yuri." Is that so? Well, if it's Yuri, she has the looks to debut in a girl group. Besides being pretty, she also has a unique charm. Yuri noticed us and waved, saying, "Jin Hu Senior. Min Young Senior." However, at that moment, a man approached from behind and gently held Yuri's wrist, saying affectionately, "There you are. I called earlier, why didn't you pick up?" Initially, I thought they were close, but Yuri's reaction was a bit strange. "Let go of my hand." Nevertheless, he still held her wrist, smiling pleasantly, and said, "Haven't had lunch yet? Let's go together. I'll treat you." Yuri frowned. "I wish you wouldn't let the senior know about this." "Oh, come on, we are the same age, what's the big deal? It's nice to be comfortable with each other, right? Let go of my hand." Yuri tried to pull her hand away forcibly, but she couldn't resist the man's grip. "Why are you so prickly? Don't tell me today is the day." "What?" "Oh. Judging by your expression, it seems like I've hit the jackpot." Yuri seemed frozen, unable to say anything. I was taken aback by their reaction. "Who is that guy?" Minyoung also spoke in surprise. "I told you before. Among the freshmen there is Master Chicken's son." Unable to bear it, I approached Yuri. "Can you let go of her hand, please?" The guy scanned me up and down at my words. "Who are you?" "I'm Kang Jin-hoo from the Business Administration Department." He dryly nodded his head. "I'm Chai Myung-ho. Nice to meet you, senior." From his attitude, it didn't seem like a very pleasant meeting for either of us. I then removed the guy's hand holding onto Yuri's wrist. Then I pulled Yuri behind me. At that, Chai Myung-ho's expression changed. "What are you doing? What about you?" He stood in front of me. Though we were of similar height, his shoulders were broader, indicating regular exercise. He had a fairly handsome face, and even at a glance his pants and coat looked like luxury brands. "We're planning to have a meal with our juniors, so please step aside, senior." "No, we seniors will have the meal together, so why don't you step aside, junior?" "Right, Yuri." Yuri nodded in agreement. "Right. I'm going to have a meal with Jin-hoo senior." Chai Myung-ho sighed as he spoke. "Ugh, this senior who acts like he's never heard anything before, butting in and causing a scene. Swearing at someone you've just met. Talk about his character. What did you just say? Do you perhaps not know who I am? And you, do you know who I am?" The atmosphere was gradually getting worse. It wouldn't be strange if one side threw the first punch. Just as Minyoung and Yuri tried to separate us, an unexpected figure appeared at that moment. A big man with a military-like short haircut and baggy sweatpants. "Hey, Kang Jin-hoo. What are you doing with your junior?" "Oh, Q1 senior. I'm not sure about other schools, but Korea University isn't particularly big on military influence. However, there's always at least one senior who likes to act all authoritative. In the business administration department, that person was Lee Q1. But seriously, he still hasn't graduated." Senior Q1 was immediately angry with me. "Hey, when did the military culture at university disappear? Why are you still treating your juniors like soldiers? Act like a senior should, man." "Well, the thing is..." As I tried to explain the situation, Senior Q1 cut in. "Where do you get off talking back to a senior? Can't you show some respect as a senior? This kid took a long break from studies and lost his military influence. He tells me not to act like a soldier, yet he's the one talking about military influence." Chai Myung-ho gritted his teeth as he watched this. Then he grabbed Senior Q1's arm and said, "Please stop, senior. I think Juno senior got the message by now." "No, Myung-go. Sometimes you have to scold them sharply." At this, Chai Myung-ho smiled and said, "I told you to stop. Didn't you hear me?" Although his mouth was smiling, his eyes gleamed sharply. Q1 senior flinched and said, "Oh, okay, Myung-go. If something like this happens again, feel free to tell me anytime. Let's go grab some food. I'll treat you." Okay. "Thank you." Q1 senior followed Chai Myung-ho and said to me, "I'll keep an eye on you from now on, so be careful." The way he followed was like a puppy wagging its tail at its owner. What on earth is going on? Although he can be a bit annoying trying to act tough all the time, he's not someone who acts like this without reason. Why is Q1 senior like this? Minyoung sighed and said, "Try to understand. Do you think he's acting that way because he likes it?" And Q1 senior's father was forced into retirement last year. What does that have to do with anything? He opened a chicken restaurant. "Oh," I asked Yuri, "why was he acting like this?" Yuri shook her head in annoyance and replied, "I don't know. It's driving me crazy." They first met at the freshman welcome party. It seemed like Chai Myung-ho fell for Yuri at first sight and asked her out, but she promptly rejected him. However, that wasn't the end of it. Even though she didn't share her contact information, somehow he kept reaching out. When she blocked him, he found another way to contact her. Yuri showed me the messages Myung-ho sent her, which were utterly ridiculous. Declarations of love, shopping for luxury bags at the department store, offering to buy her anything she wanted and more. Such gestures might work on others, but Yuri found them utterly unnecessary. If she needed a luxury bag, she could sell her stocks and buy one. She saw Myung-ho's messages as over the top. "It seems he really likes you," I remarked. Yuri rolled her eyes. "Are you seriously saying that now?" "Sorry. It's practically violence to force these expressions on someone who clearly dislikes them. Isn't that considered stalking?" We headed to the Central Library cafeteria. While eating, I heard more about Myung-ho from Min-young. Looking at the case of Go Jun-hyung, even children from chaebol families occasionally enter the Korean business school. So the eldest son of Master Chicken's chairman entering as a freshman wasn't particularly surprising. Seniors were subtly hoping for free chicken at gatherings. However, this new freshman was totally tactless. He disregarded the set schedules and rules during orientation, spoke informally to seniors, and forced drinks on girls at drinking sessions. The appearance was something that Senior Sergeant Gyuwon couldn't just watch quietly. Senior Sergeant Gyuwon scolded everyone who witnessed the scene, but Chai Myung-ho, instead of reflecting on his actions, came out with an attitude of wanting to fight. Fortunately, the seniors around intervened, saying it was just a mistake made while drunk, and the atmosphere was to just let it go. The issue arose after the OT was over. Senior Sergeant Gyuwon's father retired last year and took the typical fast-track promotion route that retirees often take. He went from being a manager in a large company to owning a chicken restaurant, and it happened to be a Master Chicken franchise. Without a break, he fried chicken while taking care of his children, but suddenly, there was a hygiene inspection from the headquarters. They found various violations and imposed a 10-day suspension of operations. Immediate suspension of operations was critical, but in terms of food hygiene, 3 warnings result in the automatic termination of the franchise agreement. It was a chicken restaurant that poured all the retirement money into it. The livelihood of the whole family depended on the small store. Without even hearing the rest, it was easy to guess what happened next. "What about the other seniors?" Min-young tilted his head and said, "After seeing what happened to Senior Sergeant Gyuwon, who would want to say anything? What about Go Jun-hyung? Son of GH Construction Sue. Wouldn't he be speechless if that senior said something? He rarely comes to school." At first, it seemed like he was trying to flirt with Sienna, but as soon as he found out about his relationship with Jun-hyung Sr., he started treating her normally. In a capitalist society, money is power. No one wants to get involved with those in power in a negative way. Chai Myung-ho wasn't someone without any thoughts. He spent money generously on close juniors and seniors. The fact that Senior Sergeant Gyuwon's store reopened 2 days later and was suddenly designated as an excellent franchise is a prime example. It clearly showed what consequences you face when you wrong someone and what benefits you receive when you treat them well. Listening to the story, I was speechless. I mean, the tyranny of franchises, that's what it is. Big corporations oppress subcontractors, and franchise headquarters oppress their franchisees. After having foreign experiences for a while, coming back to South Korea really hits home. Even the children of chaebol families are scared of rumors and can't act out. Haven't you heard the stories of the sons and daughters of Samsung Group or Unsung Car Group getting into accidents in the news? Accidents are mostly caused by dubious characters. There might be influence from the conglomerate's control over the media. Min-young said with a worried expression, "Is it going to be okay?" I saw the look in his eyes earlier, and it doesn't seem like he will stay put. I chuckled. What can they do? I too do not intend to let things slide. At least it's not something that should be done to self-employed business owners who depend on their livelihoods. The location for the welcome party was a small pub near the back gate of the school. Today, the entire business administration department has rented it out. A male student acting as the host shouted, "Seniors, please sit with the freshmen." As we followed the instructions and took our seats, both sides were freshmen. All right, has everyone filled their glasses? Then let's raise a toast to celebrate the new semester. I clinked glasses with the freshmen, getting to know each face one by one. They were 4 years younger than me. Come to think of it, when I was in high school they were in elementary school. After a few drinks I moved to where Min Young and Kai and Jill were sitting. Tina was already there. Has it been a year since I last saw her? She still had a captivating presence that caught your eye at first glance. Looking at me, Sienna said, "Have you been well? You've returned to school this year." "Yeah." Go Jun Hyung was not seen. "What about that senior?" "He said he'll come in a bit." I sat down and we all clinked glasses together. Sienna asked, "Why didn't you return to school right away?" "I was busy with this and that." Sienna seemed like she wanted to ask something more, but she didn't say anything. As time passed, closer groups began to gather. Yuri and a few female colleagues including Hwang Ji-hai laughed and chatted. Min Young looked around the bar and said, "Come to think of it, that brat hasn't come." True. But before the conversation could finish, a black Mercedes-Benz S-Class stopped in front of the bar. Chai Myung-ho got out of the driver's seat, Gyuwon Sr. from the passenger seat, and 3 female students got out from the back seat. I recognized one of the faces among them. Hamie exclaimed, "The car is so nice. Mercedes-Benz S-Class is truly the best. Some of my classmates even drive small cars like a nerd. This is a real class difference." Yes. I like wealthy men. So Win. Chai Myung-ho promptly agreed. "All right. Let's do it." Min Young and Kai and Jill, who had quietly approached by my side, interrupted me. "Are you drunk? Why are you doing this? Quick, cancel it, man. Don't worry. Just win, right?" Chai Myung-ho chuckled at that sight. How long can he keep laughing though? Coming out of the bathroom after washing my face, Sienna was standing in front of me. "What are you thinking? Are you really going to drop out?" "If I lose, that's what I'll do," Sienna asked with a sigh. "Is there a way to win? Can you lend me some money?" "What? Just kidding." "You really?" Sienna seemed like she wanted to say something but bit her lips slightly. I walked past her. The center table was neatly arranged and in front of it sat Chai Myung-ho. The guys stood around like spectators. Before sitting down I whispered to Yuri, "If I lose, are you really going to date him?" Yuri grinned mischievously. "Well, Senior is going to win anyway." What on earth is she believing to act like this? I sat down across from him and explained the rules once again. The time limit is 2 hours. Let's say the one who stacks up the most cash on the table within that time wins. It doesn't matter if it's your money, your parents' money, someone else's money, or borrowed money. Foreign currency is allowed, but checks, securities, and physical goods are not. The loser shouldn't hesitate to drop out neatly first thing tomorrow without regretting the tuition. Got it? No changing your mind later. Senior, please don't change your mind. Yuri, set the timer for me, please. Yes. Yuri set the timer on her phone for 2 hours and placed it on the table. Senior Gyuwon clapped and said, "Everyone put your phones away. If you get caught taking pictures, deal with it yourself." I appreciate it when they do this for me. I told Min Young and Kyung-il, keep an eye on them with Gyuwon Sr. to prevent them from taking photos. While rumors spreading verbally is unavoidable, having no photographic evidence significantly weakens credibility. I'll go first. I took out all the cash I withdrew from the ATM just now and the cash in my wallet and stacked them on the table. I just found out today that the daily ATM withdrawal limit is 6.0 million won. It's 6.45 million won. If you're nervous, you can go home now. Chai Myung-ho chuckled as if he couldn't believe it. Seriously, what are these kids playing at? Then he picked up his phone. Secretary Jung, listen carefully to what I'm about to say from now on. In front of the beer house, a black sedan came to a stop. 2 middle-aged men dressed in suits arrived carrying 2 attached cases, which are commonly known as 007 bags. Click. After entering the correct password and opening the bags, bundles of 50,000 won bills spilled out. 200 bundles stacked neatly on the table, each bundle containing 50 million won, totaling 1 billion won. Despite the bustling beer house, a silence swept through. How often does one get to see 1 billion in cash in their lifetime? As someone muttered, even if I work my whole life, could I ever amass that much? An office worker could earn around 1 billion in their lifetime by working diligently, receiving a salary of 40 million per year, and working for 25 years. But amassing 1 billion is a whole different story. alternating my gaze between the 1 billion won on Chai Myung-ho's side and the 6.45 million won in front of me. My 6.45 million suddenly seemed insignificant. I hadn't expected to stack 1 billion from the beginning. An ordinary college student wouldn't accumulate more than tens of millions, even if they tried. Accumulating 1 million would have been enough. But the reason I did this was probably to showcase it to the people present here. Whether the intention was evident or not, everyone in the beer house looked astonished at the sight of 1 billion won. Would you like to continue? It had only been 30 minutes since it started. I smiled. Of course. I'll show you something interesting from now on.